Howdy. Again, we're in the time machine, and despite appearances, we're actually on our way to Exmouth. So we left Point Quobba, or what did I call the Quobba blowholes. We left there and heading up to Exmouth. We had arranged to hook up at the back of Mel's cousin's place, who lives just outside of Exmouth. Brett, and that was really cool. We the first day we got there, we had after we'd set up, we had a couple of beers and a good chat, and the two of them had some really good discussions around the old memories of the families and being cousins and what have you. During our time there at Exmouth, it was really awesome. We did a heap of snorkeling. Brett's a big fisho, and so he took us out on his boat. We tried some fishing unsuccessfully, but got to see a lot of the wildlife under the water, and it's an amazing place for the reef there, because it's right near on Exmouth is on the peninsula, the Cape Range. I think it's called Cape Range Peninsula. On the west side, or the ocean side of it, is the coral reef there, which is just incredible, Ningaloo area. So he took us out there on his boat, and we saw turtles, dugongs, which I ended up swimming with. We'd come through Coral Bay on the way up to Exmouth, so we ended up going back down there. It's about 100k, but it was really well worth it. We did more snorkeling down there. The clarity of the Ningaloo reef is incredible, because it's, as Brett's explained, it's a harder form of coral there, and it's not as susceptible to all the pollutants and what have you, and it's also not an area that isn't as highly trafficked, I suppose, if you will. So it's got much less wear and tear on it, but the colours are just intense and absolutely vibrant. And the one regret we have is not actually having a GoPro when we did the trip. That would have been really cool to be able to catch these incredible iridescent bright colours. Really leaves you speechless. We went snorkeling probably half a dozen times while we were there. We bought our goggles and snorkels and flippers and that, which made it a lot easier. We also went down for a half a day or so to do some quad biking down that area, which was really cool. Gives you a bit of a perspective. Took a while to get used to it, because the acceleration is actually done on a thumb trigger, if you will, as opposed to rolling your wrist down. So having ridden motorcycles for 30 odd years, it took quite a while to get used to that. But that was really cool. One of the things I had to do while we were up there was change the oil and filters, or get the car serviced. But Brett had sort of said, "No, I'll give you a hand. I've got all the gear here." So he helped me out there. We did change the oil, change the filters, the fuel filter, and that was really cool. Very knowledgeable chap. He had to leave to actually get down to Perth after a few days. It was his daughter's birthday, but we had an amazing time there. His knowledge of the area, he's been there for about 30 years, his knowledge of the area was just extraordinary, and he told us a heap of his experiences there, but also the submarine communication base that's out there. Hello. Firstly, what is going on with this hair? Look at this. I think it's time. I don't know whether you can see clearly, Mel might tell you, but over here there's all these towers. We're up the top of Exmouth, and there's all these towers, and clearly telco type towers. And what we just learned from Mel's cousin Brett is the enormity of the military significance of this area in terms of communications with submarines globally. I don't know that I'm at liberty to tell, but he told us, so it should be all right. But yeah, there's like 5 of these massive submarine telecommunications bases around the world, and the one in Exmouth is apparently the biggest in the world, and they can basically signal any submarine in the world from here. And run by the US. All this next to us is Commonwealth government land. Trespassing is illegal, shooting is illegal, all that sort of stuff. You can't bring detonators into this area because it might just blow you up. There's radiation and shit. We had no idea the military significance of this area. It's fascinating. So yeah, amazing. There's also a massive solar observatory there, just not far from where he is, where they actually track things like solar flares and events like that, and then they actually sort of distribute that information down to all the various meteorological and Bureau of Meteorology type places. That's the word. Because a lot of that sort of stuff, those solar flares actually impact weather patterns on our planet. So, and it's interesting because we'll probably talk about that in another episode, another instalment. After Brett had travelled down to Broome, to Perth, we stayed up there in Exmouth, and Melanie had decided she had a bit of a death wish and organised tickets for an ultralight flight. So we drove down to the airport, where she jumped onto this a couple of toothpicks strung together with some handkerchiefs and a lawnmower engine, and she went up there. That was pretty cool. Life insurance was up to scratch, so that was all right. But one of the things they do is on the wing of the ultralight, they actually have a GoPro there, which they program to take a photo every 8 seconds or something. So at the end of it, they give you like this SD card with 500, 800 odd photos. So that was pretty cool. She had a swag of photos. She loved it. I got more of a penchant for the ground. That's okay. So really enjoyed our time there in Exmouth. It's a place I'd love to go again, and you can see the what drew Brett and his wife Helen there. It's a very laid back but expanding sort of place. It's lovely. So from there we headed inland, going east into the Pilbara. We were keen to get up to Carragini, so we went through Tom Price, the mining town there, and then through Paraburdoo. We stopped at a roadside stop that evening outside of Paraburdoo, where there was about half a dozen other vehicles camped up there. But what we didn't know is that actually right behind us was part of the rail for the mining. And so we start hearing this incredible rumbling, which we had no idea what it was. It's pitch black. And I went out there and I took a little bit of video. The sound was just incredible. And then we worked out that it was actually this very, very slow loco, and they had like 3 locos and then countless carriages, another 3 locos, more carriages, and another 3 at the back, which just went for, I don't know, half an hour to actually pass by. So that happened a couple of times during the night, which in the pitch black was a little bit disturbing, but anyway. So the next major destination was Carragini National Park. Carragini is just an amazing part of the world, inland there in the Pilbara. Just incredible gorges and rock holes and walks. So we stayed at the caravan camping area there, and we had a few issues with the camping because we only got into the overflow area initially. And the problem is that you get old buggers who they'll book, it's only about $11 per person per night. They'll book a site for a week. But then, they're running a little bit late, so they just don't show up for 2 days, and then they leave 2 days early, so they're only there for actually 3 days, but those other 4 days are booked. They're vacant, and I can't get in there. So it's a bit of a problem, and the hosts quite often got a little bit cheesed off because they can't really let you stay in there because the person might just end up rocking up at 11 o'clock that night, and you're on their site, so they've got to kick you out. So it's something they're kind of struggling with, but anyway, we ended up having to change sites a couple of times, but that's okay. So there's a whole heap of gorges there. Fortescue Gorge we went through rock pools, Fern Pool. We went to Joffrey Lookout and Weeno Gorge, and one called Handrail Pool, which is where I came a little bit unstuck. We'd walked through this gorge area, and it got to a point where you basically descend down using a handrail. That's why it's called Handrail Pool. To scale down about 2 or 3 meters, and it's really quite a little bit precarious. I'll show a bit of video and what have you here. Well, this is a real bummer. was just trying to get down here where Mel is, and my foot slipped, and I've pulled a pec just here. I felt a little pop, and I can't carry any weight on it, which I'm really pissed off about. Anyway, Mel's going down. It's an absolute magnificent spot, and I really wanted to go for a swim. Anyway, see how we go. At the bottom of this little area was another little swimming rock hole, and you could then continue on from there a little bit further. And I was just gutted because it was just an amazing place that we really wanted to see. But I couldn't put any weight, I couldn't hold anything, I couldn't support anything with that arm, so that was really annoying. But anyway, it was what it was. Melanie went down and she had a bit of a mooch around there and took some photos and some video. The next day we went to Hammersley Gorge, and Hammersley's a place I wanted to go to for a little while. My mate Jim worked up in the Hammersley Ranges, or up at Dampier for the mines for many years. And there's a rock pool there, and I decided I'd take a plunge in the rock pool there just to help my soothing pec. And it was cold. It was water that is the coldest I've ever been in. I've never been in water that cold. Just incredible, but it had to be done. Following day, we moved camps to Dale's Campground, which is still part of Carragini, but it's one of the sort of proper, not overflow places, and that was cool. And we decided to go to Calamina Gorge, which is again another stunning place there. And so, not being content with just one injury, I managed to fall off a cliff. So we did a little bit of a walk into this gorge, went all the way to the end, and then on the way back, we actually missed the place where we actually walked back up to get out of the gorge and went further. Melanie was just videoing, just managed to stop the video, which I'll probably have up here. And as she stopped videoing, I took another couple of steps and I went bang, foot slipped, and I went down about 3 meters into the water, into this rock pool, very shallow rock pool, and thinking I was okay. I had no major issues. I was fine. I was drenched and wet. Lost my sunglasses, and then I saw that the sunglasses were down there in the water. Managed to get them back. As it turns out, I'd actually strained my left knee, and the ACL, or whatever they call it, was not quite right. So for literally about another month after that, knee was sore, stiff, and would click every time I had it in one position for more than a couple of minutes. When I'd straighten it or bend it, it'd click on the outside of it. So didn't get any treatment for it, but it'll be okay. Anyway, we found Carragini just incredible in terms of you walking through these layers of rocks. As you walk through the gorge, you see these rock walls, and there's literally millions of years, layers of millions of years along these rock walls, where through compression and years of tectonic plate movement, they've been forced up and then washed away and what have you. It's just incredible, absolutely incredible. It's a bit mind-blowing. Would have been great to spend more time here and less injured, but anyway. So we then headed off to Port Hedland, and trying to avoid countless mining trucks. So Port Hedland is all about mining, it's all about shipping, so that's where they pull out all the iron ore from that whole surrounding area. And so you have semi-trailers, which are like 3 or 4 carriages long. The port there itself can handle, I think it's about 20 odd ships at a time, and these are massive big ships carrying the iron ore around the globe, and they have 8 to 10 vessels coming in and out every day. The caravan park there at Port Hedland had the smallest sites we've ever seen, but fortunately I'm okay at reversing, so that wasn't too bad. But it was good to be back on the coast to see the sunsets and what have you. We headed up north past Pardue on our way to 80 Mile Beach, and Pardue has a station and a tavern there where during the earlier cyclone in, I think, April this year, cyclone, I think it was Ilsa or Isla, hit Pardue station full on. So it literally destroyed, obliterated the roadhouse and the tavern. Absolutely devastating. We then got to 80 Mile Beach campground. We lined up with about 8 or 10 other caravans waiting to check in. We finally got in. It was a really, really lovely place. Crystal clear waters, white sand, magnificent sunny weather. Perfect for a swim, except for that little sign about crocodiles, which wasn't as good as we'd like. But it's that we're now at that area in the northern side of Australia where saltwater crocs are, well, they're known to have a bit of a munch at people every now and again. So we're just shy of Broome. So we had arranged at this 80 Mile Beach campground, we'd arranged a sea view site. And then as it turns out, that was the only sea view site along that sort of beachfront there, which was covered in shrubs and bushes. So we actually, if you squinted right through there, you could just see a bit of the ocean. A bit annoying, but we actually paid a couple of extra bucks to have that site. A bit disappointing, but anyway. The beach was absolutely beautiful, and at one point I had a bit of a Planet of the Apes feel where I walked around this corner down the beach, and it looked exactly like the scene where Charlton Heston comes across the Statue of Liberty that's crumbled down and stinging on the beach, and he realises that he's actually back on Earth, and he shouts out, "You maniacs! You blew it all up! Damn you!" The shower block around this area was pretty cool. Unisex, no roof, low walls, and showers and toilets. It was you kind of having a shower in the sunshine and trying not to look at the person next to you. But thankfully, it was everyone's nice and modest, so that's good. The rock formations to the south of the area were really, really beautiful. And there was an area called the Lost City, and you can see why they call it a Lost City. It really looked like something you'd see out of a desert area where they built a city in the rock face over thousands of years, sort of thing. So I decided to take the drone out. Got a little bit of drone footage. I had to fix the drone because I'd damaged, unbeknownst to me, I damaged one of the propellers when I was up in the high country last year sometime, and unfortunately one of the props had failed, but thankfully they actually send you spares, so managed to fix that. So I've got a little bit of footage, and it's pretty cool. Gives you a much different perspective seeing things from the air. 80 Mile Beach, Barn Hill is definitely a place we could spend a lot more time and really chill out. Lots of really great walks, pretty good facilities, pretty basic but lovely. Maybe next time we'll spend a little bit longer, but the next step is going to be up to Broome, and that'll be pretty cool. So stand by. We'll see you at the next one. Broome, here we come.